Hello and welcome to my channel, You Are The One, where we talk all things law of assumption to help make your manifesting journey easier and more fun. And today we are going right back to the beginning and I'm doing a video on what is the law of assumption, which was my very first video. And I just want to check in to see if anything has changed. So that's what we're doing today. Stick around. My name is Hedley Derenzie. I am a qualified life coach and author specializing in the law of assumption as originally taught by the great American Barbados-born mystic Neville Goddard. It is the stories that we tell that create our life. So if you want to change any part of your life, then it helps to know how to tell the story first. And if you want to experience the most amazing reality, then it helps to know how to tell the most amazing stories. And that's where these teachings can really help. And that's why I am here. I want to help you to tell the most amazing stories you can possibly imagine and hold them long enough for them to become your reality. If you would like support with this, I am available for personal coaching. I also have a free 21-day Set Yourself Up with the Ultimate Self-Concept course, which is the ultimate story that you want to be telling. And I am on Instagram. You'll find all of those details in the box below this video or at my website, youaretheone.com.au. Okay, let's get into it. Firstly, I just want to say thank you so much for your wonderful comments and congratulations on the first anniversary of my channel. I really appreciate it. It's so lovely to read and thank you for sharing in that with me. Also, I just want to clarify, I've been pulled up for calling Neville Goddard the great American mystic, and I just want to clarify that yes, I am aware that he was born in Barbados in 1905. He immigrated to the US. He served in the US Army around World War II, from which he was honorably discharged. He remained in the US, considered himself a US citizen, and he died in West Hollywood and was then buried in Barbados. So by saying that he is a great American mystic, which is also on the cover of his book, The Complete Reader, which is a collection of all of his books, it's not discounting his birthplace and it's not being disrespectful to the fact that he was born and buried in Barbados. So I just want to make that clear. Okay, so today we are going back to the beginning. I went back and I watched my first video, which was on what is the law of assumption. That's where I started. And I wanted to watch it again because, like, one, I hadn't watched it in the year that I've been doing this. And also I just wanted to see whether anything had changed, whether I had changed my understanding of the law of assumption or, you know, what was my understanding then and what is it now and is it the same? And what was interesting, the answer that I gave then would still stands today in terms of what the law of assumption is and the important principles of it and how you can use it to change your life. Probably the only thing that I see has changed is my delivery and hopefully using less ums. There were a lot of ums in that video. I was like, So let's talk about this. What is the law of assumption? And I would suggest that you ask this question to yourself. What is the law of assumption? Forget everything you've read. Forget the text. Forget the information. Just forget it all and ask yourself from a place of trusting that you have the information within consciousness. You know everything you need to know. What is the law of assumption for you? And it's a really good question to ask because the law of assumption will, even though it is consistent in its principles, it will mean something different for you. It'll give you something different. And it was just a really good question for me to ask again. And I would say, even though the law of assumption hasn't changed, what it means for me has in a way. For me personally, it's the key to my amnesia. The law of assumption is the instruction manual for how to navigate reality as consciousness contained in a human body. It's the set of instructions to navigate and create reality. We weren't just born on this earth and kind of said, okay, go for it, figure this out. Like, we were given the teachings, but we were also given amnesia. It wasn't just handed to us, which is why so many of us who have come to these teachings have come through so many different challenges and trials and tribulations in order to be here. These teachings weren't handed to us on a platter. We had to figure this out for ourselves, and that is part of the adventure, being consciousness in human form. And one of the things I said in the first video, and I'll say it again, it still stands today and it'll stand for the rest of time, I'm sure, is that consciousness is the one and only reality. And reality is just reflecting back consciousness. And this, if you only get one thing from these teachings, let that be it, because that in itself will transform your life. Consciousness and reality are the same thing. But consciousness is the cause of reality, and reality is just reflecting consciousness back. And what I'm learning, and what I've learned over this last year, is that the proficiency of awareness is key. It is like like the thinnest needle And wherever you point that needle is what's going to get projected out into your reality. So you want to continue to ask yourself, what's the ideal scenario that I want to experience in this moment, and direct your awareness there. If you're ill, the question is, what would health look like in this moment? And direct your awareness there. Now, sometimes you have to wait until you're feeling a bit better to get that sense of equilibrium back. When you're sick, that's past consciousness catching up with your body. You got to let it run out. You got to let it run its course. That's not the time to be fighting your current experience with this law of assumption stuff. Sometimes you got to let the old consciousness run its course through you, and then go, okay, now I'm ready to tell the new story. Sometimes it's better to just stay as present as you can and wait till the moment passes, until you're feeling a bit better, and then using your awareness to direct it a lot more consciously. So for me, law of assumption, it is a way of life. It is a way of reality. It's a way of consciousness. It's a way for me to remember who I am moment to moment to moment to moment. And when I forget, law of assumption is the key. That is what's going to bring me out of my amnesia. Law of assumption will bring you out of your eternal state of amnesia in terms of forgetting who you are and forgetting that reality is reflecting consciousness back. It's not happening the other way around. We have fallen into this default position of believing reality is first and consciousness in second, or almost reality is first and conscious doesn't even get a look in. Consciousness or imagination is just a waste of time. It's child's play. It's something that you do as finger painting on the weekends. When in fact consciousness and your imagination and what you're doing with it is you're creating your reality moment to moment to moment to moment. And if you're not aware of it, if you're not catching the stories and the assumptions you're telling, then you're just going to end up telling the same story and experiencing the same reality, and you're going to be in a cycle of then believing reality is the way things are, and then you just keep telling the same story because that's the way things are. So in order to break the cycle of whatever you're experiencing in your reality, you have to start by telling a new story. You have to hold a false assumption. You have to essentially deceive yourself into believing, at least in consciousness, that this is the way things are. You're not denying reality. You're looking at reality front on and going, wow, I really don't like what I'm experiencing here. I'm aware that I created it based on what I was doing with my consciousness maybe a couple of days ago or a couple of weeks ago. And I'm here to change the story. And I know that if I hold this new assumption about myself and about this person, then eventually my reality has to catch up. And now there's a bit of more work to do around that. Sometimes we have to use revision to really clear the path. But essentially, that's the basic. It's super, super simple. Law of assumption is one of the most simple and profound teachings I have ever come across. And I have really studied a lot of different teachings under a lot of different teachers, and I have found this to be the most sound and the most complete, which is not to say that anything else is wasted or doesn't have value. Everything has its place and has its value, just as everyone has its place and has its value. The law of assumption helps to correct my thinking rather than approaching reality from the outside in, where I'm looking outside and then letting that dictate what is going on within me. I'm now looking from, okay, what's my reality teaching me about what's going on inside? And then I'm changing it inside, and then I'm holding it inside, and then I'm knowing that my reality is going to reflect it back. So I am now in control of consciousness a lot more than I was. And that is then being expressed in my reality. And I'm seeing things move really fast, just as a lot of people that I'm working with are seeing their reality move really fast as well. So ask yourself, rather than letting anyone else tell you, what is law of assumption for you? Ask yourself the question, what is law of assumption for me? And then let it guide you in the unique way it has. Start to listen to yourself, start to trust yourself a lot more. Any teacher, including Neville Goddard, including any of the law of assumption teachers, including myself, we are all and only support characters in your movie, helping you remember that you are the star of your movie. You are the infinite I am in your movie. We are just support characters helping you remember. And at some point, you won't need us because you will have finally come into an absolute alignment with who you are, and this will just feel redundant. And you'll know when that happens. You'll feel it in your body because you'll be like, you know what? I don't need to listen or hear this anymore. I know it. I've got it. I can start now sharing this with others. I can start being the teacher. And this is what Neville says. Go out and share what you have learned with your brothers and sisters. That's essentially, this is what he says, is when you know how this really works, then you will spread the word. You will tell your friends and family and your network, and the word just continues to spread, because what we're doing is we're helping each other awaken. We're awakening, and then we're helping all of the characters in our movie awaken, of course, because we are the infinite I am, and of course everybody else is the infinite I am. There is only I am, but that's a whole other video. So I'll leave it there. Enjoy. Ask yourself that wonderful question. What is the law of assumption for you? What does it give you? and go from there. As always, please remember that you are the amazing creators of your reality. You are the superstar of your show. You are the producer, the writer, the director, and the actor in your movie. What you assume to be true will be so. So assume the best for you, assume the best for everyone in your movie too, and you will have an amazing life. And this is my wish, my vision, and my prayer for you. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like, comment, and share. If you'd like to subscribe, I'd love to have you. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.